Hey guys, it's Alex Feliciano and welcome to the Box Score. Today we'll be talking about the 2020 NFL season in review. And if you want to see more videos like this, follow us on Instagram at the Box Score ASIJ. So we first want to talk about the awards. So let's start off with Offensive Rookie of the Year. Who do you guys have?
For offensive rookie of the year, I have Justin Jefferson because I didn't see him performing this well, and he really shocked me and was a big offensive factor for the Vikings.
I had Justin Herbert just because I feel like quarterback is a more important position than wide receiver, and that's why. And he had a terrific rookie season. He had 31 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions, and so I feel like that was like like even better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think um as a young quarterback in his first year, I think that was very very good, and I just think just because he's a quarterback, I think that's why he beats out Justin Jefferson for me.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go with Justin Herbert as well. I mean, I think when um when he came in for Tyrod Taylor, no one expected him to play this well, and everyone thought that Joe Burrow would be the one like that would get Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and it was actually like Herbert versus Burrow until he got hurt. So I have Justin Herbert winning it.
Yeah, I have Justin Herbert as well. He's got the most touchdowns by a rookie quarterback ever, and that's pretty impressive. Sixth most yards in the league. All his stats are pretty good. He has a great deep ball, and he looks pretty good play.
Yeah, 31 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. That's pretty impressive for a rookie. All right, let's go to Defensive Rookie of the Year. Who do you guys have?
I think this one's kind of clear to me, and I hope it's like I have Chase Young as defensive rookie of the year. I mean, we all knew he was a beast coming out of Ohio State, but this season he really showed what he was made of, especially from college ball to NFL. He had an amazing rookie year, in my opinion.
Um, my defensive rookie of the year is Antoine Winfield Jr. Just because I feel like the other two, like I guess more likely people to win defensive rookie of the year is Chase Young and Jeremy Chin. But I just feel like the reason why Washington's defense was really good was, of course, something to do with their front, but their pressure rate wasn't that high compared to other pass rushes in the league, and so a lot of Washington's defense also had to rely on its backfield, and that's why I feel like while Chase Young did have an impact, um, as Bruce Arians said, 7.5 sacks doesn't really mean anything, and I kind of support Antoine Winfield Jr. as a defensive rookie of the year just because he had a better record, 11-5 to 7-9, and I just feel like it's really tough to play safety in the league, and he played like almost like most of the snaps he was on the field, so I just feel like Antoine Winfield Jr. just edges it out for me.
For me, the games where I watched Chase Young, I never really saw anything that impressive. So it's between Jeremy Chin and Anton Winfield for me, and Anton Winfield just plays with more speed, more power, more energy. He's more exciting to watch, so it's Winfield for me.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go with Chase Young. I mean, he led all rookies in sacks, and he was second in pressures with 33, and also he had 5 forced fumbles. And all while for a rookie, he got double teamed 20% of the time, and that's and he's getting double teamed at the same rate as like Brandon Graham and Khalil Mack and those players. So I think for a rookie to get those numbers, but also be double teamed all the time, and I think he gets the recognition, and I think he should win Defensive Rookie of the Year. And the defense was one of the key reasons why the football team was so good this year.
Rookie of the year is Justin Herbert by far. I mean, his ball security was top notch, only 11 turnovers the whole year. And I honestly think if Anthony Lynn was like a better play caller, they would have won more games, and he would have played better as well. Because he just in the fourth quarter, especially like the offense just stagnated a lot more, and I just feel like Justin Herbert carried my fantasy team, and he carried his football team as well. So I give him Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, if Justin Herbert had a competent coach, then they would definitely have won more games. So I also have Herbert as my Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I have Herbert as well. He almost looks like Deshaun Watson out there, and he just plays the game well overall. Yeah.
To go different from you guys, to me, I still think it's Chase Young because from Washington's season last year to this year, I feel like Chase Young and the rest of the D line made a huge impact, and I think that I don't get me wrong. I think Justin Herbert's a beast, and I think that he's really, really good too. But Chase Young just stood out to me more than Justin Herbert, and I think that next season will show that more than this.
Well, Chase Young did have an 87.1 PFF grade, which trailed only like 3 people in terms of overall grade for rookie edge defenders in like the last 10 years. So he is a very great player.
But I think Herbert's gonna win it. He has really good numbers and he plays so well. So I think that's my opinion. So let's go to comeback player of the year. Who do you guys have?
I have Alex Smith. His injury was really gruesome. He was told he could die. It was really disgusting. He had like 17 surgeries just to keep his leg attached. And then he came back and even played a few games. And that alone is really impressive. So for me, it's Alex Smith.
I think it's Alex Smith as well. And what impresses me most about Alex Smith's season is not just the fact that he came back from his injury, but he played winning football and he helped the Washington football team make it into the playoffs because their start wasn't that great. And then Alex Smith started out as a third string quarterback this season. He started out QB3, and then he won the starting job, and then he played winning football, and he helped the football team make it to the playoffs. And that's why I have him as my comeback player of the year.
Season. I also agree with that. I agree with Alex Smith as comeback of the year after the leg surgery and also beating out other QBs for the starting spot. So yeah, I have Alex.
Yeah, you guys kind of said it all. Yeah, I also have Alex Smith. He's just from where, like Ian said, from like him being told that he could die. It's just crazy how he led them to the playoffs in a way. Um, so let's go to coach of the year. Who do you guys have?
I have Brian Flores from the Dolphins. The team started 1-3, but then they finished 9-3, and their defense was the worst in the league last year. Now they're seventh best. They were 26th in offense last year, 18th this year. Tua and Fitzpatrick were hot and cold all year. Devontae Parker, their top receiver, got injured. Their top running back got injured. And they traded away their top left tackle. And so they're built for the future as well. And they still almost made playoffs. So, yeah.
Yeah, they have the third pick, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I also have a Brian Flores. It's just from where they were at last year to now. The Miami defense has just been so good, and they also have a like just Miami in general. They have a plus 96 point differentials like sometime in December. And thing is, I think they could have gone the playoffs because like 4 of the 5 losses that they had at that time were they've been like 1 score games. And yeah, so I think it was really close. Like they were all really close and they could have gone both ways. So say that they did one of those games, they probably would have been in the playoffs.
I also agree with Brian Flores. You guys basically said it all, but I agree with.
I have Matt LaFleur as coach of the year because they went 13-3, best record in the NFC, and look at what Mike McCarthy did with Aaron Rodgers, and then how Matt LaFleur turned it around with the second straight season going 13-3, and then second straight season into the NFC Championship. I just feel like Matt LaFleur, his building his like chemistry with his quarterback, and then building his play action heavy offense, and the way that they torched NFL defenses, and I just feel like that's why he beats me out, just because he had insane. They had an insane season. He was a great play caller, and he basically helped Aaron Rodgers get back in the MVP race. So that's why I have him as coach of the year.
All right, let's go to defensive player of the year. Who do you guys have? I have Aaron Donald. I know he's already won it twice, and I know voter fatigue's a thing, but his numbers are just too good this year. I mean, yeah, I mean like the especially with the Rams defense, and he has like the highest PFF grade of any defender as well, and he also ranks first in the pass rush win rate. Yeah, so I have Donald.
Yeah, I have Donald as well. And yeah, as you said, he has the highest pass return rate, and that's while having the highest double team rate, which means he opens things up for his teammates, and he still had the second most sacks in the league, which is insane.
Yeah, and he's doing this all while he's like an interior rusher.
I have to agree with you two on there with Aaron Donald. I just think Aaron Donald is just like head over shoulders, like just so much better than everyone else. And I also think like he also makes life much easier for everyone else on defense just because he generates so much pressure and so much attention. And so yeah, that's why I have him as my defensive player of the year.
In the beginning of the season, I thought this season TJ Watt was going to do better than Aaron Donald, but Aaron Donald showed out all year. And so therefore I also agree with you guys about Aaron Donald being defensive player of the year.
Yeah, let's go to offensive player of the year.
I think for me, offensive player of the year goes to Derrick Henry. I mean, he showed out all season, and not only that, he had the most yards as a running back, and the second running back was not close to him. And I just think that you watch one of their games, he did well almost every single one of their games. I think there was one game where he did not perform that well, but I think that Derrick Henry is the offensive player of the year.
I'm actually going to say Devontae Adams. He led the receivers in touchdowns. He was 5th in yards, and I mean, he was just so good this year. And also, he did all of this while missing 2.5 games. So you never really know what could have happened. I guess the 2.5 games could hurt him, but I still think he has a pretty big chance with I still think he has a pretty big chance with winning. And also, he was 2nd in receptions this year, and yeah, he was Rodgers' #1 guy, and he had many games where he showed out with like 3 touchdowns and all, especially against the Bears.
I have Deshaun Watson as my offensive player of the year, just because he operated at such a high level, even though his team wasn't that good, and didn't have a very good offensive line, and his defense wasn't that great either, but he was still doing insanely well. He had 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions on 8.9 yards per attempt, the completion percentage over 70 with 4,800 yards of 4,800 plus yards. And like, there's like the only reason why some of the games were close was just because of Deshaun Watson. And I just like the storyline where, like his coach gets fired midseason as well. Hopkins gets traded before the season starts. And like, there's a lot of questions surrounding how well he might perform, but he just outperformed a lot of the quarterbacks in the league. And you look at the better quarterbacks in the league, like the MVP type quarterbacks, these guys have good offensive linemen, and but like Deshaun Watson does not. And if you like look at like expected points, like you get like 3, like the plays gaining at least like 3 expected points compared to like plays that will cost his team 3 expected points. Rodgers was at an insane plus 27 differential in these like game altering plays. But guess who was second in the league? It was Deshaun Watson with plus 25, which was the 5th best since 2000. So like if you think about it, and Mahomes and Allen, they're both much lower, less than 10. So Mahomes was at a plus 9 and Allen was at a plus 5. So if you think about it, Deshaun Watson's plus 25 was insane this season. So if you think about it, Deshaun Watson was like literally the dude on the Texans, and he should win Offensive Player of the Year, I think.
For me, it was a toss-up between Deshaun Watson and Derrick Henry. But Deshaun Watson led the league in passing yards after his top receiver from last year, Hopkins, was traded away. He has below average pass blocking. His top receiver this year, Will Fuller, got suspended throughout the season. And then his second receiver, Kenny Stills, got released. So, considering the difficulty, I got to say it's Deshaun Watson.
The last one, MVP, most valuable player. Who do you guys think is going to win this year?
Ian, you want to go first?
No, I'd like to not. I prepared tons of counterpoints.
Let's leave the best for last. Dylan, you want to
go? Sure. Yeah, I can go. So of course I have Aaron Rodgers as my MVP of the season, and we can just talk about like he was first on a lot of major statistical categories in touchdown passes, total touchdowns, pass rating, completion percentage, and fewest interceptions. He was also tied first in completion percentage over expectation, and he was like super good. And if you look at the total passing and rushing expected points added, Mahomes was first in the league, but Rodgers was second. And Mahomes had 183 expected points added in total passing and rushing, but Rodgers had 181.7, which is very, very close. And the leader of the statistic has won the MVP award in each of the last 4 seasons. But this year, I think it'll be different just because of how close Rodgers is to Mahomes in this, and as well as how good Rodgers played this season. And as I said, Rodgers had 35 plays getting at least 3 expected points compared to only 8 that cost his team as much, which basically meant that he had a plus 27 differential in these game altering plays. And that was behind 2011 MVP Rodgers and 2007 MVP Tom Brady. So that was the third best, like plus 27 differential was the third best in game altering plays. And if you look at the storyline, Rodgers has a much better storyline compared to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen as well. And I think storyline has a lot to do with who wins MVP because Jordan Love was drafted in the first round, and then instead of getting a wide receiver or more weapons for Rodgers, we drafted a quarterback. And then Rodgers has like statistically the best season of his career probably. And then some of it had to do with his wide receivers actually catching the ball this season because Devontae Adams is solid, but like Valdes-Scantling, like he had quite a lot of drops and the other wide receivers too. And so with them actually like catching the ball and also just Rodgers just being solid as he is, that helped like Aaron Rodgers, I think, have the best record in the NFC, and that's why I have him as my MVP.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Rodgers as well. I mean, Dylan literally mentioned every stat, but just to, yeah, I mean, he led the Packers to a 13-3 record this year. 121 passer rating, that's the best. 84.4 QBR, all while it's like the 70% completion rate. I mean, also I guess 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That's crazy. And to do it at 37 years old, and the Super Bowl, it's all not Super Bowl for MVP. It's all about narratives. The Packers, they drafted a quarterback in the first round, got him no help, like Dylan said, and the fact that he's able to ball out like this just shows how truly good he is.
I have to agree, and you guys said it all, but I'm more of a wide receiver guy, so I think that Stefan Diggs could see this if the Bills do win the Super Bowl, because although he didn't have as many touchdowns as Devontae Adams, he had more receptions and more yards, but I do think Aaron Rodgers is gonna see this MVP this year.
Okay, so first let me start by telling you guys why Aaron Rodgers shouldn't win the MVP. So first of all, let's stop this narrative that he doesn't have any help. He literally has Alex's Offensive Player of the Year, Devontae Adams, as his top receiver, and Dylan's Coach of the Year coaching him. His offensive line is by far the best in the league. His team pass block win rate is at 74%, first place. His team run block win rate is at 74% as well, also at the top of the league. So he's the best offensive line in the league, the best receiver in the league. Dylan's the best coach in the league. Now let's go to the running game. So Aaron Jones, when he's on the field, he has 0.17 EPA per play, which is second in the league. When he's off the field, the Packers have a negative 0.05 EPA per play. Aaron Jones seems to be the Aaron that's the most important in the Green Bay offense. My MVP is Josh Allen. Aaron Rodgers is 2-2 against teams that have 500 win-loss record or higher. Allen is 5-2, which means he's even played more stronger teams. Almost half of his games are against top-tier teams. And one of those losses was a Hail Mary against the Cardinals. Rodgers had the 7th easiest schedule in the league, while Allen had the 15th hardest. Why does Aaron Rodgers have so few negative plays? He had the second most dropped interceptions in the league, the most throwaways, and the highest throwaway percentage consistently in the league. And when anything goes wrong, he just shuts down. And this was no more evident than in any game than Week 6 against the Bucs. So he has the best coach in the league. The defense is the same as Josh Allen. Josh Allen actually has 245 more yards passing, 272 more yards rushing, which is 517 more yards total. And I think that's all that needs to be said.
Interesting. All right, so let's go to the next portion of this. So just like the season in review. So let's start off with like the biggest surprise. Which team was the biggest surprise this year in a good way?
For me, it's the Dolphins with my coach of the year, Brian Flores. They really came out of nowhere with a dominant defense and a pretty consistent offense. And they finished the year 10-6, and they just barely missed the playoffs, but they're still really surprising to me.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the football team. They had a lot of quarterback issues throughout the season, but Antonio Gibson stepped up. J.D. McKissick. The defense was something that was a complete surprise to us. They were ranked 23rd, and this year they were up to 7th. Like their new guys, Ronald Darby and Antoine Lynn, they were big factors in that, and as well as the inside rushing like such as Chase Young, and also the fact that Terry McLaurin, he was a beast throughout the year, and even though there were so many quarterbacks, he was still able to get plus 100-yard games and all that, and also no one thought that they would be this good, and they ended up making the playoffs. So that's my biggest surprise.
I think I agree with you with Washington football team because they started off the year not that well, and I thought it was going to be like last year, but then they turned it around, and I got really surprised. But someone coming into the season that I didn't think was going to be as well as they were was the Colts. Um, they surprised me, and I didn't think they were going to do that well with Philip Rivers. Right? Yeah, and so yeah, they surprised me a lot.
I think I'm gonna have to say the Rams, just because like in a division with like the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Niners, I actually expected them to be last in the division, just because the Seahawks are like they have Russell Wilson, the Niners they won the Super Bowl last year, and the Cardinals they got D Hopkins, and like I thought like they might be able to take the next jump, but um, surprisingly the Rams made it over the Niners and the Cardinals. And yes, the Niners did have a lot of injuries, but I still find it impressive that they made it over the Cardinals, and that's why I think they're the most surprising team for me this year.
And they also beat the Seahawks in the wild card.
Yeah,
Player was the biggest surprise for you guys? I know we talked about him earlier, but I have Justin Herbert. I mean, sixth in yards, like for a rookie, over 4,000 yards, and then 31 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. For a rookie, he really surprised me, and I think no one had those expectations for Justin Herbert, and that's why he was my biggest surprise.
I think for me, negatively, it had to be Dwayne Haskins. I thought that this was going to be the year where he would show his talent with the Washington football team. Because last year, I mean, he didn't have that well of a season, but I thought he was just adjusting. And I thought this year would be the year that he would adjust, but instead he got cut. So now he's a free agent, and it just shocked me because I remember I remember the draft. I really wanted the Giants to draft Dwayne Haskins, but they took Daniel Jones, and now Daniel Jones is performing way better than Dwayne Haskins is.
For me, it's Darius Williams, the cornerback on the Rams. I thought he played better than Jalen Ramsey, who's his teammate, and just really solid all around. And he was really impressive to me when I watched him.
I think I might have to say Jason Verrett. Of course, I'm kind of biased right now, but he played exceptionally well. He played against some of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and he played pretty well. And I just think coming back from injury, it's always tough to come back from. And he didn't always have Richard Sherman with him this season. So I just feel like, considering the circumstances, he was kind of my biggest surprise. Probably because I wasn't expecting too much from him, maybe, but that's why.
So I guess like which player kind of disappeared this year? As an Eagles fan, it has to be Carson Wentz. I know there are a lot of injuries, a lot of big injuries, and a lot of offensive line like adjustments. There's so many combinations this year. It's crazy. But even with that, I think last year he was still capable of leading a team full of practice squad wide receivers to the playoffs, and he did play well last year. But then this year, out of nowhere, he really disappeared. I mean, 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. That's just terrible. 28th in the league in QBR. Only Drew Lock and Sam Darnold were worse than him. Just from hearing all the reports lately, it doesn't seem like he took any responsibility for his actions, and he was never held accountable. And yeah, I mean, for an Eagles player, for Eagles fan, that saw a lot of potential in Wentz, especially 3 years ago before he got injured. He was an MVP candidate. Just out of nowhere, he disappeared, and I really don't know what's going to happen with Wentz this year.
Yeah, for me, it's Michael Thomas. He was offensive player of the year last year, but never saw he was injured a little, but I never saw any highlights or anything. I just never noticed him this year. Seemed to disappear.
Yeah, I think Dak Prescott had more receiving touchdowns than him this year.
I agree with Ian, Mike Thomas. Coming off of a 2019 season where he had 725 yards to a 2020 season of only 430 yards. The stats talk the talk, I guess, because this was just a disappointing season for him. And I love my wide receivers, but he just didn't perform this year.
I have Carson Wentz just because, like, when you talk about like the better quarterbacks in the league, like I had him quite high up there, and like you expect good quarterbacks to perform whatever their circumstances may be. Just look at Deshaun Watson; he performed really, really well, and I had Deshaun Watson, of course, higher than Carson Wentz this year, like coming into the season, but I still felt like Carson Wentz was still going to be high up there, but he just fell off a cliff, and I was just super surprised, and like I just don't know what happened to him, but I was definitely not happy with how he played.
Finally, let's talk about the playoff predictions. So currently, next week, the NFC and AFC Championship, Packers Bucks versus, and also Chiefs Bills. So who do you guys think? What do you guys think about those games? Who you guys think is going to win and go to the Super Bowl?
Based off of the Bills game against the Ravens, Josh Allen, he performed well, but not that well. He threw 23 for 37, and even though he had no interceptions, like I still think he could have played way better, and I think that he's going to show that. On the other side, I think that the Packers are going to take this, but I think that Tampa Bay is heavily slept on. I think that just because I think that people aren't taking them serious enough, and people are just saying that the Packers are going to win. But I think Tampa has a pretty good chance, especially with their offensive threats. But I think that I think that the Packers are actually going to take it, and I think that the Bills are taking it too. And then in the Super Bowl, I have the Bills. I have Stefan Diggs going off that game. Just saying.
Well, currently we don't know the situation with Patrick Mahomes. He's still in protocol. So if he's out, I don't think the defense can carry the Chiefs enough. And so I think, I think the Bills are gonna win. If he's out, if he's in, I think the Chiefs are gonna win. And then for NFC, I have the Packers. I have the Packers winning. Tampa Bay, it's in Florida. It's a nice area, and then they're gonna go up to Lambeau Field where it's super cold, and obviously that's a big factor in that. And I think the Packers are gonna win just because their defense has been pretty good this year, and so is their offense.
For the Bills and Chiefs game, I think I just have to go with the Bills, just because like my biggest concern with the Chiefs is their defense. The Chiefs rank 22nd according to PFF's final pass rush rankings. If they can't contain Josh Allen in the pocket, he's gonna make some big play, and Stephon Diggs is the perfect partner to have in that situation, and so I feel like that just puts more pressure on like the secondary and the linebackers to be playmakers and try to stop the Bills offense. And Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are both really, really hot coming into the playoffs. And I think Josh Allen has been kind of inconsistent in the playoffs so far, but his regular season has been promising, and I feel like he'll find his groove. And he played against two top 10 defenses against the Colts and the Ravens. And so I just feel like he'll find his groove against a much more mediocre defense. And if Patrick Mahomes is ruled out of the game, then for sure the Bills, just because Patrick Mahomes is a high volume passer, which means that he's super important to the team. And so I don't think any other quarterback can replace his production on the Chiefs. And so just because of that, I don't think the Chiefs can win against the Bills. And for the Packers Bucks game, I have the Packers winning just because I feel like Aaron Rodgers did not play well against the Bucks whatsoever. Big time players make big time plays, and I think he will bounce back, just like Josh Allen bounced back against the Pats. He had a very bad first game against the Pats, and then he had a great game the second time around. And he was in the MVP conversation, and so is Aaron Rodgers. And so I feel like Aaron Rodgers will replicate that type of performance where he'll pop off against the Bucs defense. For the Super Bowl, I have Green Bay winning just because I trust Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones more, just because I think they're more experienced and they're just better. They have a much better run game than the Bills have, I think, just because the Bills' run game can become mediocre sometimes, while the Green Bay run game, which is basically just relies on Aaron Jones, but just Aaron Jones is just super, super good. So I feel like Green Bay will win.
For me in the AFC, I have the Bills beating the Chiefs because even if Mahomes plays, the Chiefs haven't looked explosive in a while. Even against the Browns before Mahomes went out, they hadn't scored a lot of points. So I have the Bills. Then in the NFC, I have the Bucks beating the Packers again because I know the Bucks are from Florida, but it's not like they're not a cold weather team. Their quarterback's Tom Brady, and he used to play in Boston where it's super cold every year, and he did fine there. So I think they'll get past Aaron Rodgers. It'll only take a turnover or two, and the Bucks defense seems to get a turnover or two every game. In the Super Bowl, I think the Bills are gonna win. Just too much momentum. They're too fast, too good. Josh Allen's like hard to take down, and I really like the Bills like receivers. Like every time you watch them, they're always open. So yeah, I think there's just too much for the Bucks to handle.
And this concludes the podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and yeah, follow the box score on Instagram at boxscoreSIJ, and yeah, thank you.